The hemp house is a must-see because once you can envision the future, then you can make it possible. And when people see that, they're going to suddenly just go and say, yes, I see the future, I get it. And this should be shown all over the world, because then you don't have to even say anything. That's how amazing this hemp house is. It creates an atmosphere, a world, a reality.
Talk about living high on the hill. This new home in Cape Town, South Africa is made almost entirely out of hemp. Everything from the carpeting to the curtains, the cabinets to the carpentry, made from the hearty fiber.
The wall panels are made of hemp board with a wood veneer on top. The insulation in the internal external walls is made of hemp insulation. The cupboards are made from hemp board. These shelves and cupboards are also hemp board. Then the flooring is hemp carpet. In the floor is an hemp insulation. In the roof is an hemp insulation.
All the hemp needed to construct this house was grown on just a few acres of land in less than 3 months. By combining the fibers with a mixture of lime, water, and hemp stalks, engineers were able to create a material they call hempcrete. The quick turnaround from raw material to final product helps make hemp an affordable and sustainable choice for South Africans.
The very first eco-friendly hemp home was constructed in Noordhoek, and Tony joins us this morning to tell us all about it. Tony, good morning and welcome to Expresso.
Thank you very much. I like that you mentioned the sales, because the word canvas actually came directly from the word cannabis. So the uses of hemp go back thousands and thousands of years. Yeah. Basically, it's made from the hemp plant, which is a long, thin plant. The fibers are on the outside, and it refers to the industrial varieties of the cannabis plant. You cannot smoke hemp. You can't get high off hemp. The varieties of cannabis that make you high don't give you good fiber.
Okay, so that's the main differences between hemp and marijuana.
Exactly.
All right.
Now, there are nearly 30 countries around the world that are growing hemp legally, including the whole of the EU, Australia, Canada. We're falling behind because we listen to America, where the cotton and wood and synthetic industries kept hemp out by lumping it with marijuana, easily getting rid of their competition.
I was shocked yesterday. I was reading up a little bit about hemp, and I read it goes back as far as 8,000 BC. I mean, that's incredible.
10,000 years of use, and it's only been illegal for less than 1% of that time.
That's crazy. Okay, so let's talk about this house that was built in Noordhoek. You know, a lot of hemp materials went into there, but how did the house come about? How did it all start?
Our aim has been to showcase as much as possible about this versatile resource. So we've really tried to showcase everything over the 15 years that Hemporium has been running by making clothing, body care products and all that. And we decided to take it to the next level when following what was happening in Europe with the hemp building. We started with the hemp insulation. This replaces all the fiberglass with fibergrass. Hemp chipboard, and then we also used hempcrete, which is a mixture. Yeah, it's a mixture of the hemp stalk with lime. Yeah. You combine them and makes a natural, breathable cement that will petrify over time, so it'll outlast any concrete or cement building.
That's fantastic. Now, what makes hemp then such a good plant to use?
Basically, it uses very little agrochemicals, if none. Yeah, so cotton uses 25% of the world's pesticides, and hemp uses none. It's also the most versatile plant out there. You can get fiber, you can get stalk, you can get seeds, which are full of omega fatty acids and protein. Wow. So it's really jobs, houses, food without costing the planet. Yeah.
And you're able to use the whole of the plant.
Zero waste, and it grows up to 4 meters high in 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So in under 100 days, the farmers are going to get a return, and they're not going to have to put all the chemicals onto their earth.
Hemp produces in 4 months what trees produce in 7 years. So the end goal is to grow hemp construction materials locally, creating sustainable employment and eco-friendly housing, from lounge to master bedroom, kitchen to bathroom.
Very interesting. You actually live in this house?
Yes.
Is it any different to a normal house?
Absolutely. The insulation factor, when you put your hand on that hemp wall, it heats up very quickly compared to brick and cement that will take a long time to heat up. Yeah. So living in an insulated house, I mean, I'm using for that 3-bedroom house about 300 Rand electricity a month. Jeez. That's really nice and warm, and also we've gone for the double glazing, which makes a huge difference as well.
Exactly.
But it's just living in an insulated house, a living, breathing, organic house as well makes a huge difference to being surrounded by brick and cement.
And how much of this this house actually consists of a hemp product?
At least the 50% of the walls, which means 50% of the walls were grown in 3 to 4 months, and next year another house could be grown on that same land. But also then we've got hemp couches, hemp curtains, hemp carpets, hemp insulation in the roof and in the walls. We used hemp oil on some of the wood products, and then also the hemp chipboard in all the cupboards, all the cabinets.
I can't believe that's made out of hemp.
Yeah, this is tree-free, and it's binder. The binder we used is formaldehyde-free, so no VOCs either.
So what we have here is the hemp shiv, or also called the hurd, which is the internal part of the stem of the plant. And that's mixed with a lime-based binder. And so with that lime-based binder and the hemp, we've got a negative carbon footprint. Now the difference between lime and concrete is that lime you don't have to heat up as much. Concrete you have to heat up to almost 3,000 degrees, which takes a lot of energy and does very poorly on the carbon footprint.
Well, hempcrete actually sequesters carbon. Let me tell you how it does that. First of all, any cellulose material, wood for example, or hemp, takes carbon in during its life cycle, and usually when it decays, it lets it back into the atmosphere. If you take that plant and then put it into a wall, for example in hempcrete, then that carbon is now sequestered in the wall and not becoming part of climate change. So the hempcrete in this building, this one building alone, will sequester 20,000 pounds of carbon. That's a pretty big accomplishment. I think this is the best wall system in the world. So I'm all about hemp. I think hemp's an important thing to push because it's food, fiber, building material. But really I'm choosing this material because it's the best in terms of building science. And why is that true? First of all, because this is what's often called a breathable wall system. And I don't mean breathable for air. We're actually building an airtight wall, but it's breathable for water. And why is that an advantage? Well, in a typical wall, you have a cavity that you seal tightly and then you fill with insulation. Well, water will get inside that cavity because water that's its job in the world. My body's 70% water. It can dissolve any material. Anyway, so what we want to do in a building is create a wall that welcomes water but doesn't rot when it lets the water in, and that's exactly what hempcrete does. When humidity changes in the air outside, the wall can take on that extra humidity and hold it until the humidity drops outside, and then it will let it back out. In the meantime, because the lime is wrapped around the cellulose won't rot.
The lime is trying to go back to being a rock. That means this wall is going to get harder and harder and harder. Over time, it's going to petrify. So these walls will last for thousands of years, not 40 years like what we're used to building.
Imagine a world we could live in, plant these seeds in the minds of our children, plant these trees and grow a solution. Hemp can heal the world. Imagine a world we could live in, plant these seeds in the minds of our children, plant these trees and grow a solution. Hemp can save.
One company in Suffolk have invested in new equipment to manage the new hemp crop. Hempcore run the world's largest hemp processing factory, turning the raw hemp bales into fibres.
So this is our technical fibre. We take the coarse material and we refine it. We open up the fibres, we clean it up, and this is used in the automotive industry to make things like this, car door panels. And then it can also be used to make insulation materials, and this is insulation material made from hemp fibre. And it has similar thermal properties to the normal products on the market.
And what's in this bag over there?
This is shiv. This is the woody core of the plant. This is used as animal bedding, and when mixed with lime is used in the construction industry.
Hemp in buildings could be the future. A mix of lime and hemp packed around a timber frame can quickly be used to form a wall with high thermal properties. How quickly can you use it? Is it easy to use? Is it versatile?
Yep, it's very simple to use, very versatile. It takes about 2 or 3 hours to learn how to use it. You don't need any high levels of skill, and it's possible to build walls very quickly. The section we're going to see here has just taken a few minutes, but you'd be talking about building a wall full height from ground to roof if you could mix it fast enough in a day, and you get a house built in maybe 2 or 3 days at the moment.
In the moment of truth. Well, there we have it. And how does it compare in the cost?
Well, a wall like this, 300 millimeters thick, is pretty identical in cost to a brick and block wall. So 300 millimetres like this gives you a wall which creates a building that needs virtually no heating or cooling.
And some people are already taking advantage of that. This distribution centre, built by Adnams Brewers in Suffolk, is constructed mainly from hemp and chalk blocks. The building needs no heating and maintains a constant temperature of 13 degrees.
How integral are the hemp blocks in that energy-saving system?
Well, I think they're very important. Not only do they come with a very high energy efficiency rating, there's also 150 tonnes of carbon locked up in the hemp within those blocks. Now, if we'd built this building out of a standard concrete block, we would have emitted something like 600 tonnes of carbon to the atmosphere. So you can see that by using the hemp, that we've not only got a great product in terms of the thermal value, we're actually locking carbon away from the atmosphere.
What we have now is a tipping point in understanding. The economics have shifted. Now it's about energy use, and so now these materials are starting to be focused on a lot more.
Would you like to save 30% up to 50% energy in your house?
Quite early on I took a blowtorch, full-on blowtorch that far away from the hemp lime, and I left it there for 2 hours, but it would not catch fire. Wouldn't catch fire. You end up with a building which keeps a perfect level of humidity. It's a sort of natural air conditioning.
A few years ago I set up a company called HAB, Happiness Architecture Beauty, as a development company. And we're finishing this scheme in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. It's a scheme of about 42 homes called the Triangle, and designed by a wonderful award-winning British architect Glenn Howells.
My great difficulty is that every new scheme we're building 7 now. I look at the range of materials out there. I cannot find one to match hemp. I can't find one that has such a low embodied energy, that locks carbon in, that has such a low environmental impact, that can be grown locally and harvested with minimum inputs in a matter of just a few months. It's an incredibly expedient building method. Every other system I look at involves a skin and a structure and an insulation, and then you're worrying about where the thermal mass goes, and I cannot find a material which does what hemp does. And we made a television series about this project, and we went off and planted a field of hemp, and over 12 or 14 weeks watched it grow to 4 meters tall. And that was next to a power station, which was rather neat. So the trains went by and the motorway went by, and you saw the plumes of smoke coming out of the chimneys of the power station. You thought, this field of hemp is absorbing all the CO2 and dirt, and we're going to build houses with it. So for me, there's a tremendous excitement in the pioneering notion of using this material. The project manager here on site said to me, he loved the material because we'd have this lorry reversing on site, a big cement mixing lorry. Instead of pouring out heavy, wet, toxic, caustic concrete, it would instead pour out this sort of fluffy, lightweight stuff that looks like sawdust. It didn't require any power tools. So all we had was buckets and barrows and blokes. And because there are no power tools, there are no cables everywhere. And it actually makes for a very, very healthy, very safe building site, hemp. It's a very, very builder-friendly material. I mean, it's a no-brainer.